Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a horror film from the USA, English language, released in the year 2020, directed by B. Harrison Smith, and this film is called The Special. So The Special is about a man whose relationship has just recently broken down. He's devastated, but a friend of his recommends that he goes to this particular brothel, and in this brothel there is something called The Special. Now the Special is very mysterious, but the friend of his tells him that once he experiences it, all of his troubles are going to go away. So curiosity killed the cat. This main character decides to go to this brothel, he orders The Special, and now his life is never going to be the same. So he experiences it once, he can't believe what he just experienced, but then unfortunately addiction starts to take hold, and now he can't get enough of it. And so things escalate very, very quickly, because the more he becomes obsessed with it, the more he realizes the dangers that are lurking around. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Special. This is a very low budget horror film, and it's a movie that not many people talk about, and so I didn't really know what to expect coming into this. This is a blind sort of expectation, and so I was really excited to see what The Special could deliver, and what it delivers is an incredibly bizarre and wild ride. So if you like your insane films, then The Special is definitely one that's going to gravitate to you. As far as low budget cinema is concerned, I thought as though it looked very good, and the overall story is a cautionary tale about the power of addiction. So addiction and how you're consuming that can be. You can lose yourself, you can lose your friends, and you can become someone completely different once you're reliant on something. And so whether that's drugs or whatever, if you have that sort of addiction, you understand where this movie's going. And so on the outside, it's an absolutely bizarre film. It's a gross out film, and it's a movie that is so far from the realms of possibility, but underneath that cautionary tale is what grounds it in a sense of purpose. And so that was something that I liked. A lot of these films these days, they always have that symbolic purpose, but I thought the purpose in this film prevented me from just checking out completely. So you got a lot of these different dimension style of films, you had completely ridiculous sort of aspects to a film, but once you see the underlying message, you can kind of ground yourself to a point where you stay invested. And so that was something that I liked for it. It has a very fever-pitch nightmare feel to it as far as the visuals are concerned. It feels like a fever-pitch dream, and this character, once he goes through this devastation, all of a sudden he's found something to fill in that void. But unfortunately that void is going to become very consuming, and the more he consumes himself to this, the more dark the situation starts to get. And so if you've cared for loved ones, or you're, as I said, you yourself have gone through addiction, you'll understand where this main character is going. So the acting, I thought was very serviceable. It was all very good. I thought the practical effects, especially right at the end, it is balls to the wall crazy. So if you like your crazy stuff, you're really going to like the way this movie finishes. It was very disgusting, very practical effects, and there were some funny moments thrown in there as well, especially as far as the sexuality to the stuff, to the part of this film is concerned. I thought as though there were some really gross out moments and cringe-worthy moments. And so the relationship between the main character and his friend, I thought was absorbing, but the more, as I said, he becomes consumed with this new habit, the more he starts to lose himself as far as those around him, and also the person that he is. And so it gets darker and darker, and he becomes more and more unpredictable, and it invested my interest to some degree. But if I have issues with this movie, I thought as though the end of it was absolutely fantastic, but there were problems to the continuity of the pacing. I thought as though there were moments that really got bogged down, and it was unnecessary. I thought as though it could have edited it out and would have been a lot crisper and sharper. And so there were moments where I thought it kind of halted the progression. It was really fun, but then all of a sudden it hits a lag, and you start to notice it, and you want it to kick into gear again, and then these questions that are answered, you want to know what's going to happen at the end, and I found myself a little bit impatient for that ending. Now the ending was worth it, but unfortunately there's a lot of this movie that I felt like it was filler. And so it was a little bit repetitive. It got to the stage where it was a little bit monotonous, and I thought as though the ending didn't hit me as hard as it would have if that anticipation had much more consistent flow to it. So that was my issue with this movie. As far as a low budget horror film is concerned, it's not bad at all. I thought as though there were some moments, as I said, that were very, very shocking, and so be very careful of that. If you like your independent cinema, then I'd definitely say go out there and see this film. I thought it was impressive. As I said, not perfect, but it was still watchable. I'm going to give this film 2.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.